Welcome everyone to the Absolute BS podcast, ABS. This is Anthony. I'm here with my co-host, the one, the only, the blunted one. And if you can see, there's another person here. It's James. James, you can introduce yourself.
Yo, what's up? I'm James. I've probably said a lot of takes that you don't like that'll probably continue today. We'll just go with the flow, see how it goes.
He has some great YouTube content coming out. He has probably one of the most interesting takes when it comes to breakdown, film breakdown, and just like team when it comes to NBA stuff. So just follow.
Yeah, huge shout out at James. Follow his
Yeah,
YouTube.
I
his
appreciate
info is going to be around here, up here, down here, whichever, probably the description. But yeah, give James a follow. Um, now, probably everybody knows Allan and I are Lakers fans. I'll be more objective. I'm not like die hard. Like, well, you see, I have a white slash. Like, it's not like Allen's Laker gear. So yeah, like look at that. It's nothing of the sorts. I'm not what you consider a Laker homer. Hopefully,
we'll see.
we'll see. However,
I don't
we're
know,
here
Tony.
with
I
a
heard,
clip.
I heard, I heard you're a Laker homer, bro.
Yeah, I from the Twitter Spaces, it seems like I am a Laker homer, and it seems that James is a Clipper fan.
We'll have
And
an interesting conversation there.
yeah, we're gonna have an interesting one. It's just I wanted to start with something, and this is probably it's gonna be a little somber, but it's just I always had this question for a Clipper fan, especially when you have the Lakers on the other side. What drew you to be a Clipper fan?
So for me, it's interesting, right? Because I'm from Seattle, so I didn't have a team. And for me, I'm 18, just turned 18. So when I first started watching basketball, it was like 2010, 2011. And that was like Chris Paul, Blake, and I kind of just fell in love with that duo. And, as I was hitting 13, 14, there was Jamal Crawford in between the legs to windmills. And so I think Lob City kind of drawed me in. Also, sometimes I don't like it, but I think rooting for a team that's the underdog, like, I've got to do a lot more defending for the Clippers than a lot of other fan bases do. So I think rooting for a team that there's not a huge fan base there. So I think, if at one point we do win, I think it'll be a little more meaningful just for all the Clipper stuff, which is probably well warranted, but still rooting for a team like that. But yeah, mostly Lob City. Even then, we had when the whole Chris Paul trade happened, we still had Pat Bev, Lou Will, Shea coming in. So, but Lob
Right,
City
Shay.
for a
I,
young
I forgot.
for a
I
young guy.
forgot you guys had Shay. Jeez, it's been
Man,
a
we
minute.
had we had pick 12 and 13, and we went Shea and then Jerome Robinson.
They had Tobias Harris too.
We did have Tobias
You had
Harris.
Tobias. Oh,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he was part of that Blake trade. We got Shea, Blake, and Landry Shamet from that trade off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure. So
okay.
hit on that one.
Wow. I mean, so you're from Seattle. Just for those viewers, I'm actually originally from Puerto Rico. So the only reason why I'm a Laker fan because I've only been to LA once. I've never been to an LA game. I've tried to. Unfortunately, it's difficult. But uh, the only reason I say that is because I grew up watching Shaq and Kobe. That's kind of like once that hit, it was kind of like Kobe and to that monster team that they made with Carmelo, which was hilarious at times. And I probably dated myself, but um, I know Allen is. I think what was it, Magic or no?
What?
Like, what was your first game that you
My
watched?
first game that I okay, so the first game that I actually watched was back. Dude, I don't even know what year it was. I was
Yeah,
young. I was like,
don't say year. Just
I don't
say
even want to
the
say a year because I don't remember what year it was. All I do remember was that Magic and Jordan were playing on TV. My uncle actually came in. I was living in San Antonio at the time, and my uncle, and mind you, my uncle at this time, he was only like, I think he was only like 20, 21, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was young cat. It was my cousin's dad, so he's only my uncle by relative, like family, like he's that's how he's my uncle, because he's my uncle, my cousin's dad, and he was super young, and I remember him flopping on the TV, and boom, Magic and Jordan were watching it. Me and my little cousin, I just remember me and him just like watching the game and like mimicking like all their moves and stuff, and like pretending to play basketball, and we just fell in love with the game right then and there, dude. So yeah, I've been watching basketball for quite some time. I'm not like one of those like what do they call those books? The Back to the Future. What was it called? That one book where they has all the scores or everything that happens in sports. The almanac,
Oh,
or what is it called?
That's out of my
the
time.
sports.
So
It's a sports almanac. Oh my
Yeah,
god! All right.
yeah. The
Well, let's
sports.
not.
I'm not a sports
Don't
almanac.
say anymore. Don't say anymore.
Yeah, dude. I'm not that. I just go by what I've watched and
Oh
what I've
boy,
heard
oh
about the
boy.
game.
Well, here, breaking news, guys. Rules just dropped. New York Knicks guard RJ Barrett is finalizing a 4-year rookie extension that could worth up to how much? 120 million.
Oh, so RJ Barrett just signed.
Yeah,
So
just extension.
hold
So,
on.
dude,
Hold on.
that's
Wait,
space.
does
good
that
timing.
mean RJ Barrett is out of a trade package?
I think so,
Ye-
technically, because you have recently signed restrictions.
this is complicating the franchise offseason trade to pursue Utah All-Star
Yeah,
Donovan
that's what I'm
Mitchell.
saying. Like that definitely has to affect the trade.
Yeah.
So I
So
guess
hold on. Does that mean we're stuck with Russ?
I don't think so.
Unless we're gonna
No.
do the indie trade, we're gonna end.
I don't think RJ was ever realistic for Utah.
Yeah, this just made
If
it.
they wanted Quentin Grimes, well, I mean, I think they would have taken RJ or
Oh
Quentin.
well, they would have for sure, but I don't. I think if Utah called the phone and said we want RJ, I genuinely think the Knicks might shy
Okay,
away.
so that's funny because we were in a Nick space earlier, and I don't know if this guy's got like sources. I don't know who he is. I don't know even. I just hopped in there, and he was
Yeah,
saying that he
I
has
was
an
I was
inside
there too.
source. Yeah, he has an inside source with the Knicks from the front office and the organization, and that RJ Barrett was thrown in a trade package.
This is the
It was RJ Barrett. It was RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier, 3 protected first round picks with 2 unprotected. That was the trade package that they
So yeah,
gave
I guess
Danny
that would
Ainge.
be
And
trying to hold off to picks and
Danny Ainge said no.
make sense. It's not a
But
Danny
he
Ainge.
then apparently he called back in the morning this morning and reopened the discussions again. So
dude.
I think he's
with that
pretty
contract,
deep.
with that, yeah, that's what I'm saying. With us now knowing that contract extension with RJ Barrett, does that ultimately take Utah out? I mean, does that ultimately take the Knicks out of the Donovan Mitchell trade
No,
running?
I don't think
no,
so.
no.
I
This,
talked about it, and I
yeah.
think if I'm Utah, I'm
Who would they-
looking no
yeah,
matter what,
uh-huh.
Toppin and quickly. I think in a Mitchell trade, if you can get back those two guys with 5 or 6 firsts, I think that's probably fair. I think Toppin and quickly you can bank on. But I think Toppin and quickly have to be in that for
What
maybe
about
Grimes if they're that
Grimes,
high on
right?
Grimes. But I think Toppin and
It's
quickly is
interesting, man.
where it
I wonder.
starts.
dude. This
That's weird.
this what does is it applies pressure to Utah, saying like, no, he's off the table. Like that's what
And
I
then
feel.
Why would I just don't understand why they would resign. I mean, why would they extend
I mean, they are high on
RJ?
him. They are very high. Like every space I went to, every Knicks fan, they treat RJ like the second coming of
Yeah,
MJ.
yeah,
Like
that's what I've
it's
gotten.
just like it's not an I am obviously generalizing to the point where I'm just making a little bit fun of the Knicks fans, but it's just to the point where like they do see value in him to the point where there's justification, or there's people that say that he's been improving, although statistically yeah he hasn't been improving, like from 2020, like the last season to this season, like he didn't really improve that much, but they value him, and I think they want the pairing of Donovan Mitchell and RJ for
that's
some
what I
reason.
was gonna say. I think I think that they tell themselves that 1-2 punch is good enough for a franchise. Which I
Here's
think, in
yeah.
hindsight, it's a pretty good 1-2 punch. Like, is it a championship duo? Probably not, but I think that if RJ continues to step and we know how good Donovan is, you can probably convince yourself that you've got. I just, for me, it makes the Brunson contract kind of weird. You just paid a small guard 28 mil. So to go
Dude,
throw your future for another small guard, it's like,
here's
So I'm
I'll
confused.
throw
Like,
you this.
why is I'm confused. Why they giving him extension? I don't know, man.
I mean, that's a lot of money. If they get Donovan plus they have Brunson now RJ, that's and plus they have the contract of Randall. Like
but
that.
the RJ contract won't kick in for at least this year.
Yeah,
It
no,
would be
it's
next
gonna
year,
be
right?
next year.
But
It'll
they
be next
would
year.
have to look at Randall and be like, this is kind of an emergency get out. Like,
That that report that came out that they're not gonna put picks on that deal. I think this forces them. Like they're probably gonna run it back with Randall, but if
Sources
Randall
confirm.
doesn't hit,
Barrett's
like
extension is 4 years and worth up to 120 million, including
yep.
bonuses.
but
I mean
even
that's
then, like, if Randall plays well, Mitchell, Barrett, and Randall is like 90 mil at least, and then Brunson's another 25, and
They
then
have
you have Mitchell
Fournier's.
Robinson, who's 15. So
And
that's like
Fournier,
one. I already lost the math in my head, but that's like 120 between 5 guys who's starting class.
don't forget Fournier's contract. It's like
I think
70 or
Fournier
80 or
would
90.
go
70
go
million or something
back.
like that, right? Off
I
the
think
top of my
Fournier
head.
has to go to Utah to make that deal done.
yeah, they're
But
playing.
This,
This is a
that's just a
gimme.
lot of money for your starting lineup.
that's a lot, dude.
I mean,
A
the Knicks
lot of
aren't a
money.
team that would pay that though. But I like the Brunson signing on impact.
I do like the Brunson signing for
If
New
you're
York.
gonna trade for Mitchell, it's just like, could have you used that money somewhere else?
I wonder if they're gonna give up
Yeah.
Grimes or Quentin now.
It sounds like they're super high on quitting the Jazz. Like I said, for me,
Yeah, I
I
know.
just feel
Yeah,
like
they do want.
I think
The Jazz
Toppin's
one.
a no-brainer. I think
Yeah,
Toppin
Toppin's got
has
to
to go
go.
back.
Yeah.
And then maybe they can get off with just one of Quickly or Grimes. But when you look at like other trade packages, I mean, Paul George, AD, is Donovan Mitchell at that level? No, but
I don't think so.
like those packages were huge. So it's like, and those are borderline top 10. I think Donovan Mitchell's more like borderline top 15. But
Yeah.
those packages were huge. So you got to think for a team that doesn't have like a really win now player like Shea or Bi, you might look at Grimes, Toppin, Quickly, whoever else they have there.
I can't take Toppin seriously. I'm sorry.
Well, Toppin. The thing with Toppin is
Did
you
you
need to
not
develop him.
watch? Yeah, they need to develop. Well, do you guys not watch? Never mind. I'm not gonna even throw
He's
that.
been
in.
all right.
No, I mean you can throw this is
I was just
look at
going
the
off the-
title. Look at
look at
this
the-
podcast. It's called ABS. It's
I know,
absolute
but
BS podcast.
I'm not.
Come
I'm
on.
not. I don't want people to think that I'm just evaluating Toppin off the dunk contest. I'm just.
Yeah.
Dude, it just. I've seen
Toppin
some
is
of
kind of a Utah guy. Like I feel
Here
like
we
Utah
go.
could.
I think I see what you're saying.
It's
And
And like I said,
youngest-
like when on a team that doesn't have like an immediate franchise guy, like you're gonna scrap everything. Like they might not. They're probably not head over heels over Toppin, but the Knicks are probably the most realistic option. So it's probably more
For
like
Mitchell, yeah.
we
Well,
just
they
need
have
to
the best-
bring in as much as possible.
They got the picks that Danny Ainge wants.
Now the thing is this. Here's interesting what Woj said. It said Barrett extension, which makes him.
to Knicks.
Yeah, that was good timing. That tweet came out of nowhere.
That team, yeah.
I look. Here's what people don't understand. Each time I try to record with this guy right here, something happens. Like something has always happened.
Hey man, hopefully next time it's the Rush trade. Then you
Oh,
guys
Jesus,
can
we're
really
just-
Literally every
just
Monday.
waiting for
Every Monday we've done a recording, and there's some news that's come out.
Jesus, yes.
So that's
But-
kind of interesting too.
Well, at least
Maybe
we
should
got
start
that.
recording every Monday.
Yeah, that should be the plan, man. But that's interesting though. So what do you think, James?
Twitter's blowing
It's
up
gonna
right now.
happen. Is it just gonna be like the Donovan Mitchell trade's gonna pop, or
I think it has to, just because I do think Utah is in the position, and Danny Ainge is kind of a guy who, although I'm not as high on him as some other people, you probably trust him building the roster more from the ground up than from like where the Jazz were when they brought him in.
Gotcha.
But even then, like I'm a guy that think you can still tank with a franchise player, but they're probably telling themselves that they just don't think the roster is good enough without Mitchell. And money
Which,
wise, you clear a whole bunch. And it sounds like they are like they don't have any intent on keeping him. I
yeah,
still like the Heat just with Hero, but you would have to get a third team and given a lot because I don't know. I think the Heat only have like 2 or 3 tradable picks.
they don't. The thing is, they don't. No, they don't have. Do they have picks?
I
Like
think they
they,
have a couple tradable. I think, but that's like 2020. It's like the Lakers pretty much. I think they
it's
have one
basically
early on.
the yeah,
It's like the
like
farthest ones back because I know they traded a 2025, so that eliminates 2024 and 2026 no matter what, unless
yeah,
it's like a swap. So
because you can't trade consecutive.
yeah, so
Yeah,
I don't know what team could be like what package could another team bring in like 3 more firsts and they're also satisfied. But I think Hero is better than anyone in the Knicks offer, obviously.
on a
At least
vacuum,
so
yes,
far.
but then you put the Jazz in a position that you have to pay for him.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
it's kind of
I
like
like the Heat side. Like I think if the Heat could somehow bring him in, that makes him really good.
A lot
yeah.
of speculation right now that Mitchell's not going to go to New York.
I don't think the RJ trade really changes anything.
The RJ thing doesn't change much. It's just a thing
Like Donovan
where
Mitchell might
they
not
were
be going to New York.
yeah. New York Leon Rose set to Monday night
'Cause
line with
I don't see
Utah.
another offer that satisfies Utah.
But
And they
then that
want
would I would think that would mean RJ's off the table then.
well, I don't think he can be traded
Yeah, he
then.
can't be traded anymore. He
Like I said, I never really thought that was
I
a
thought that they were I
avenue.
thought they were gonna trade
Yeesh.
RJ.
I just think that team without RJ and Brunson and
Yeah, no,
Dude,
which
it's
I
just
agree with
bad.
you.
It's a
Yeah,
bad
I
team.
totally agree with. No, I completely agree with you. They need RJ to complete that
I
roster.
don't think that Knicks offer. Although I think you're getting like 3 good young players and picks that you can probably bank on. Like I think they might just be better waiting.
Well,
'Cause
you're
like I
getting
said, you
five
look at
picks.
other stars that have been traded. I mean, it's a lot, and I don't know if that really satisfies them.
The five
Maybe they
picks.
trust New York not to be great though. That would be something that might drive them. Is
But
they
aren't
don't.
they banking on getting what's his name, Victor? Well, I don't even know how to
The
say
I
his
think
name.
everyone is.
Victor
Yeah,
Dub. I'm gonna say Victor Dub.
I think
Victor
everyone's
Dub.
banking on getting
Yeah.
him. The bad teams.
Well, it's a race for that, and if
I need to go check
Utah,
some more video out
but
of him. Is he that
that's
good?
the thing, man. Like I don't get Utah's position here. Like look at the Heat. That package from the Heat compared to the package that the New York Knicks
What's the
can
Heat
offer.
package?
Like
Duncan Robinson, Tyler, or what?
I mean,
Yeah, whatever.
to make the salary work, you need Duncan, I think, and you need a hero.
But even
What are you gonna do
then,
with Duncan
it
though?
puts
Well,
the
I mean they're
Knicks.
rebuilding, so it doesn't even matter,
It
I
puts
guess.
the Nick or the Heat in the same scenario of like you have Lowry on 30, Jimmy on a max, Donovan's money, and then I think Bam's money kicks in next year. And I think they gave him pretty much a max. So you're looking at 110 through your 4 guys again, which
Yeah,
teams
yeah.
can make work, but
Well,
it's like
we've seen with the Lakers
Yeah, I
how
mean,
veteran minimums kind of hit the.
what is their other like what do the contracts look like for the other role players? Are they
I
team friend? Like,
think
are they still on like
Victor
a
is on
year?
10, 2 for 20, I think. Kobe Martin, who they brought back, or whatever Martin
He's
it
like a
is.
3 year deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was like 4 or 3 for like 8 mil AAV.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I just like I said, I think that money between your 4 guys is tough. I don't think any team should really put themselves in that situation
Well, we
unless they
got
can somehow get off Lowry's money. But I don't think they can.
Well, nobody's gonna really take a chance
Yeah.
not
unless
on
unless
Lowry. Not no, no.
unless you're
So
gonna call the Lakers and or something like that. But yeah, all right.
I'll
Well,
take a
let's.
hard pass on Lowry now.
Oh man, this
We could have had him in 2021, and we didn't get him then. So I'm good.
that
all right.
length on that contract is just kind of crazy. He's on the contract for like 2 more years at
2 more
least.
years. How old is he?
36.
Jesus Christ, he's gonna be 38.
They want that Chris Paul impact.
Y'all
that
really
full-
think he's still gonna be relevant at 38?
I don't know.
I think he can have that Chris Paul type impact because like his whole career he's kind of been like playmaker first, good 3-point shooter, but probably not. Just health wise, when you get that old.
What's your take on Chris Paul?
Ooh.
What?
I love Chris Paul for what he did for us, but
What about now?
Like now the Chris
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 Paul
Paul
now.
version.
Now, Chris Paul now.
it's
Suns.
hard because like every single year you assume he's gonna take that big step down, and he hasn't yet. I just it's a health thing, and it's not even like he's necessarily been hurt all that much. But when you get that old, can't trust you to stay on the floor. I still think though, like great playmaker, great mid-range shooter. I think no matter what, the Devin Booker, Chris Paul backcourt works together. But it's hard, it's tough, and he's on that thing too where I think he's got 3 years left because I'm pretty sure they gave him 4 years max. So he's under contract now. He's 40, I'm pretty sure, 39.
Yep. But here's the thing: would you say that team needs Chris Paul, but it does need Aiton to get us like raise his level? Like it's
After that last year, yeah.
Because it seems like if Chris Paul doesn't unlock Aiden, then it like Aiden on the floor by himself kind of like I feel like he just does a little bit and then he just falls flat. Like he needs to.
He definitely needs to be like. I think for him it's more of a scheme thing. Like they need to just give him the rock more.
Are you not high on Aiden, Tony? I didn't know that.
I am. I am okay on Aiden. The problem is like sometimes I feel like it could be like James says. It's a scheme thing. They're probably not passing him the ball or not running the offense through him. But the problem is when he does, he just takes jump shots. He doesn't really use his physicality inside. Sometimes he doesn't impact the floor to do like the little things where I'm like, okay, he's just like let me do just a dribble or
Do you think
jump
that's
shot.
where they fell flat in the playoffs against Luka?
Well, part of it has to be that. But he was honestly okay. Like for how bad they were.
He was impactful, right? I mean, what was his?
Off the top of my head, I can't think.
I would have to go look it up.
I don't think he was really all that bad compared to. But even though it was really just Game 7 where the Suns were like awful. Like they weren't good necessarily, but they weren't like everyone was shit in the bed bad. So.
Yeah. Yeah, even if you think like that last game, I think it also has to do with like it has to do with everybody. It's not. I wouldn't say it's Aiden's fault. I wouldn't say it's CP3's fault. I wouldn't say it's Devin Booker's fault. It's kind of like everybody fell flat. Like even the coaching kind of like
he was at negative 33 in the last game.
I think everyone did. They were down like what 50 at halftime.
Yeah, that game.
I think for me it was just a little. And I don't know this, but I think there might have been some cockiness there, just with how like they were kind of expected with no Clippers, like the Lakers weren't there. It was kind of expected to be them and the Warriors, and I don't know. I don't think I saw like a really gritty team, necessarily. I think it was kind of just like a really blow up. Like they just weren't there all. Yeah. I don't know how to describe it. Like it just.
Well, here's a little turnaround. Like it kind of felt like the Clippers, like the mental breakdown that they had in the bubble. Like it felt like something like they had the talent to surpass, but they didn't. They didn't tap into it. If that makes sense. Yeah. Like it kind of like something mental kind of like boop, went. And this is not a dig on Clippers fans.
Well, we had this conversation last night, so
yeah.
On that topic real quick,
sure.
I just want to say I think Paul George's image was a little screwed there because he was coming off another major injury, probably his second career-ish ending injury. So like when your second star plays half the season and then you have to go to the bubble and all that mix up, I think like it's not an excuse, but it's a reason. like that was definitely impactful there.
Was
And you
that
can
the
just
shoulder?
see what's up.
Sorry, was that the shoulder? Just to
Yeah, I think it was both. I think he had
the
double
both.
shoulder surgery. If I'm,
Jeez. Yeah,
um, but I mean,
that's
you can
rough.
just look at how different it was from 2020 to 2021 on a full season. Even though I think that team was a lot better in 2021, but like you can just, like I said, not an excuse, but I think it's something that you can bring up just because he was bad. Like if he played better, we win that series. So in Kawhi, if he plays better in Game 7, it was all everyone fell flat, but he
Hmm.
was kind of the outlier that was.
Yeah, and there's there's arguments to be made like the bubble, COVID, a lot of things, but it's just it is what it is. I don't want to hash
Yeah,
that out.
exactly. That's my thing. It's like I
Yeah,
could sit here and blame the bubble, but things happen. You have to adjust
yeah.
to adversity.
Like everybody was under the same circumstances in a certain
Yeah,
sense. It was the
exactly.
same environment. It's not like home court was ripped apart. It's just that was a championship if I want to characterize it, because I know a lot of people say Mickey Mouse or things like that, but it's more of a mental championship.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
it's whoever cannot, like whoever can survive basically.
Yeah, for
Anybody
sure.
that
And like you
doesn't.
said, it wasn't like the Clippers were the only team in the bubble. Everyone's
Yeah,
in it.
no. If anyone
So
that says that bubble championship's not justified, they're super. What are they? They're a homer.
Well,
it
here's
was
the thing.
impactful though. Like you can't say
Yeah,
that
Yeah,
it
like
wasn't. But
yeah,
everyone, some people, like it showed some mental strength because, like I said, I some people don't give, like I don't want to make it a Clippers thing, but like these guys were put in a hotel for 20 hours a day, pretty much, couldn't see their family. So like there is a thing that was like, hey, this was not an easy situation for anyone, right? And
hmm,
obviously you guys capitalized, but the bubble was a pretty bad situation for everyone.
yeah.
yeah. No,
So
it
for the
wasn't.
people that did fall, like you could make an argument to like that being fair because like I said, I mean Paul George talked about it, like you got new kids, like he had two youngins, and like bro, you can't even be with
Yeah,
your
he had a
kids
hard
or
time in the bubble, right?
yeah, he
Yeah,
was
He came out and said that he was having like
yeah.
mental issues
So like
like
I said,
in
and
the
some
bubble.
people did take advantage of it, but there is the fact that like that was a pretty bad situation for
Yeah, it's a
anyone.
tough situation. Yeah, definitely a tough
And
situation.
it definitely played on the Lakers too. Obviously they still came out, but like I guarantee you everyone on that team was probably feeling the same thing.
Oh yeah,
So
for sure,
yeah.
definitely.
That's and it's yeah.
That
It
was
it's
a
is
also
what
tough
it
year
just
for
is.
everybody.
worrisome too. Like
Yeah, a tough year for everybody, not
the
just.
COVID was still really high, and although there wasn't any situations of it, like you still had to be worrisome of that too. Like your family's at home with
You're
COVID
in.
going around, and you
We're in.
can't be
You're in.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a
So that was a,
dark time.
but like I said, it shows a lot of mental
yeah,
strength for the
yep,
Lakers to go out there and play really
yeah. And
well.
then they had something to play for if you think about it.
Exactly.
They had a lot
And
to
I
play
think
for that year. So
AD especially because he did all that sitting out, trade talk to go to LA. So I think
yeah, there was something they were
although
playing.
injuries played a part, I think motivation was a lot different with that AD to how you've seen him the last 2 years. Even though, like I
Yeah,
said, injury is a big part, but he came and he won, and now he's in LA, not New Orleans, and but no, that team was super motivated, and even guys like KCP had to get paid, so like everyone there had something to prove.
everybody had a chip in their shoulder to kind of prove their worth.
For
I
sure,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah,
Even like Kuzma, even though like you can talk about how his play
Kuz.
was, I mean, he had to prove that he was the guy that shouldn't have been in the package because he wanted to be there. So like everyone did have something that.
I mean, it's funny how Lakers when they uh, and I'll say this for some Lakers fans, like even with the recent departure of THT, like I was not like if LeBron wasn't here, if AD wasn't here, I would be like high on THT and be like, hey, yeah, he's only 21. Let's let him room to develop. Let him find out what his left hand can do, I guess. Or
Yeah.
but we do that where we put pressure on kind of like guys like Kuzma, guy, the THT now. And if I'm being honest, I pray and hope that this next season we don't put that same burden
Reeves.
on Reeves, because I feel like that it's kind of like a shooting. Like, okay, we got Kuzma out, we got THT out now. Like,
I think it just plays into a fact, and I've talked to a lot of Yankees fans about it. And if you think it's right or wrong, when you go to the Lakers, there is a set standard, and that's why it makes it really hard. You can even look at like D'Lo, like D'Angelo Russell really struggled, and although he hasn't been great lately, he got traded to the Nets and instantly flourished. And I think you can notice it mainly with like point guards because they're kind of made to run the show. You look at Lonzo, even though he never took a leap like D'Lo did in Brooklyn. Like I think even going down the history, like Lakers point guards and like guys that are drafted are set to a standard right away. And I think it even happened like when Kuzma was playing well, although there was still a standard, like you weren't playing for anything. So when he was really good that rookie season, there wasn't a super high standard for him. And some guys are made for it, right? Like you should probably be ready for that. Um, but there is a standard put, especially when you get LeBron and AD and stuff like that. But
that's true. That's true.
fans have that standard set for guys that come in, so you got to be ready to play there. And some guys just aren't. And if you think it's right or wrong to have standards on guys like that right away, is your opinion. But
No,
I think it's fair. But
I would agree with that, especially when we consider the Lakers. Like, and I think Drummond said it better, or like you have to be built different for wearing the Lakers uniform, because you're
especially when you're brought in like Drummond or like guys who are drafted number 2, D'Lo and Lonzo. Those are guys who, like, if you sign an undrafted guy like Reeves last year, like you don't really have a crazy expectation. But
Yeah.
when you go get Drummond off a buyout market and you're ready to push, like that's where the standard is really high.
well, even with Max Christie, like there's a lot of I wouldn't say hate, or it's just like a lot of like people are down on him, like, oh, include him on the trade. Ooh, like he's occupying a roster spot. Like they're
He's only 19.
exactly, and people don't see that, and that just comes with the territory of being like a Laker. Like
I
people
think it's
want
a lot
trades
of
win now. Like
aging guys though, like aging teams. Like for us, we've done the same thing. Like no one wanted to see Shea go. I can't think of other guys off the top of my head, but we've definitely moved off of. There was talk of like Terrence Mann, and so like any aging team, even like the Heat, if it comes to Tyler Hero,
Yeah.
like you just there's a different standard, obviously, but aging teams like that kind of got to pick your poison
that's
in
true.
making any young guy. I think the only difference with Christie is just his role is carved. Like Christie isn't really drafted to ever be a star. Obviously, he's a second round pick, but like he's drafted to, be a 3-and-D guy. So his standard there might be a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for Lakers fans, they're like, if he sucks, get him out.
Yep.
That's
Seriously, I don't know why.
yeah, like it's
So
no,
weird.
he's not performing well. Get him, like, wasn't it even for the 2020? Like Danny Green was doing everything right defensively, but for some reason, because his shooting wasn't there, like it was spotty at times. They would just be like, no, we gotta get this guy out of here. Like he's just that's Lakers fans for you. But
I think the one thing with Green though is he missed a couple big shots, which kind of
yeah,
resonates more. But yeah, no, there's definitely an
there's some
interesting
truth to it.
conversation to be had about guys like that.
Yeah, and I wanted to change it a little bit, and and I wanted to ask a question for both of you, because I wanted to get this perspective. What do you see? What do you see happening in the next 5 years? Like, and this is just for your respective ball clubs. Like, for instance, for us Lakers fans, and for us, and for you Clippers fans. Like, from here to 5 years, do you feel you're going to win a chip? Do you feel like how many chips are you going to win? What's the state? Because sometimes I feel like that's something that's run on Twitter, or that's run on people like Clippers run the town, blah blah blah. We can go that route, but I
You
just
don't
wanted
need
to take but we don't need to. We just want to take a perspective in terms like, where do we see each ball club from here to 5 years?
I can go first just because I have the different perspective. I
So
think for me, it's really interesting because in 5 years, like I would be very surprised if PG and Kawhi aren't there still. Because like when it comes to us, I think Kawhi has three, PG is four. Guys like Norman Powell F3, Rocco just got extended. Man, Kennard, like a lot of these guys are set in stone. So like I don't think there'll be as much rushing, but obviously there might be when guys are like 34. But at least for the next two, I think you'll probably see the same roster, and you just hope they can get it done. Um, but for five, at that point, you might kind of start to look at end of an era. Um, they have been good at getting guys. I made a tweet about it, but Terrence Mann was 45th. Brandon Boston, who was actually had a role last year, was 51. Even guys like Batum. Batum's career was over when he got picked up, and he's been very good. Reggie, same thing. He was waived. So the front office has shown. Now, are they going to be able to bring in a star off of that? Probably not. But they have shown that they can kind of pick out situations that aren't great and turn them into something. So maybe you can still see that. And it'll have to happen because there will be a span where we don't have our picks and we're going to be bad. Like that's just going to happen. Um, so yeah, it's tough because at that point, Kawhi's 35, PG's 36. All
I
those guys
think
that are locked in are old. So
yeah, but I
uh,
think that's I mean with the NBA and how players are like LeBron's kind of setting a standard now for like in our
Longevity.
minds, yeah, like it's you take care of your body, you like it's a like how many years have we said Chris Paul should be washed and he just comes back. Like I feel like you can say that with Kawhi is I wouldn't say injury prone, but he has a history of injuries. So
him and PG both.
exactly. So
I
I
do
would
think like you can make a good argument though that Kawhi has a play style that can live long if he stays healthy. Just because like yeah, he's gonna absolutely kill someone in the paint, but like he's not. His game isn't necessarily like I'm. It definitely is his muscle, but like he's not necessarily always quicker than the guy that's guarding him. He's not always necessarily the guy that he's guarding might be quicker than him. Um, so I
yeah
think he has a play style, especially the mid range game, just because like I think his mid range game is really underrated when you look at it. Like shot for shot, he might have one of the better mid ranges, like top 15 all time. Um,
yeah.
so I think that PG's play style can kind of the longevity might not be there as much. Obviously, he's changed his game a lot since Indiana. Um, but he is, kind of crafty with the ball still, good at the rim. So I think if they stay healthy, the bar can be set for them to still be pretty good at that point. But it'll be in consideration at least every year that like these guys are that old. We need to do something to help them out.
That
So
makes
it's
sense.
hard because it's really hard to project. But like I said, the roster is pretty locked in. Like I don't know if there's anyone outside of John Wall who can opt out who's important that's on an expiring this year. I think everyone was projected to be on the roster in 2023, 2024 as well.
Yeah, because
So
they got Robert Covington locked in. They
he got
got
two.
Powell.
Powell's on three more, or no,
Yeah,
four more actually, because he got 5 years.
you extended Zubox. Um,
Terrence Mann's locked
Terrence
in for 5 plus, I think, or 4.
$5+ years.
Wait, no, because he had second year or second round contract, so he didn't have the same years.
So
I think
he's up.
three
I think
locked in,
next.
3 more, because we
Okay,
gave
okay,
him the extension when he had 2 years left last year.
gotcha. So
So
that's
he's 3 more.
then Amir Coffee.
He's
Uh,
locked in too.
he's
Yeah,
like you got everybody locked in. Like if this is
exactly.
probably a ball club that can. That's not. If anything, it's gonna you're gonna switch. Um, like you say, like if John Wall doesn't hit,
But like I
like
said, I don't even know. He might not have an opt out. It might be like a team option. I'm not sure.
yeah, something of the sort. So it's comment down below if we're blowing smoke.
But not yeah.
Um,
The roster is locked in for the most part. Like for the
I think you
next
guys are
three
set
years.
next couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are relevant for the next. I would say the next 3 years for sure. I think
Yeah.
you all have arguably I think y'all have a chance this year, honestly.
I've talked about it a lot. I do think,
This
I
is a
don't want to
recorded.
especially
project
This
Nick.
is a
I don't want
as
to.
of
recorded
now,
podcast.
Yeah,
Alan,
this
this is
is.
a
Yeah, I know this is a.
I
okay.
think there's
Well,
a
look at their
1A, 1B
look at
between us and the
look at their
Warriors
team right now,
personally.
man. They're super stacked, dude. They have a huge roster. Like their depth is crazy. I I, I don't want to say that they're gonna win the chip. I just want to say they do have one of the better rosters in the West right now.
Like for
And
me, I think there's a 1A, 1B between us and the Warriors. Like maybe you can throw in the Nuggets there, or if the Lakers make a good trade. But I think as of now, like if you're
man,
really banking
I could
on
throw
it,
Memphis in there too.
Memphis too.
I
But I
think
think
people are sleeping on
experience
Memphis.
wise,
Well, they got experience
yeah, but also
now. Now
coaching
they do
wise,
have.
I
They
like their
have.
coach, but those are proven teams versus. And I also think
I don't think
I
Denver's a
like Jaw a
proven team.
lot, but I think his play style can kind of be schemed up against somewhat well if you have a good
Yeah.
rim protector. Not saying that I would ever be a
Like,
problem.
who's really a proven team other than the Lakers? And then
The
Proven
Warriors, I
the
mean, they're
Warriors.
Warriors.
we're not proven as a whole, but we have guys who are proven, like Kawhi, Finals
I would put
MVP.
Denver only if they stay healthy and only if they
They
don't
have a good
buckle.
team.
Like they have a good team as well. But yeah, we can touch. It's just when I look at the Clippers, just to finish off the Clippers a bit. It's you know what
I hate to say it,
as
man, but they got a good team this
yeah
year.
no and I'll say it too. Like right now, there's for the people that say like oh a healthy AD, a healthy LeBron in a playoff series, they're gonna
I
win it.
understand.
Who's like I understand where that's coming from, but you gotta understand the depth of basketball. Like from the coaching to the owner to like that is a franchise that is. I feel the trajectory is only going up. Like
Yeah,
and
unfortunately.
and here's something for the Lakers fans just to understand. I am not saying that the LA Clippers are going to run the town because we got 17 reasons why
Exactly.
we
I
are
would.
who we are, and one chip from the Clippers are not it's not going to diminish 17. So the one thing that I will say is, and by any chance, if Jeannie, you're looking at this, I know you want to run this family business, but there's such a thing as a group of people who can help you out financially because it's an uphill battle. It's a uphill battle against unlimited money. So
Yeah, I was
and
about to say that 100 billion from Steve Ballmer is
Yeah,
yeah,
seriously, man, dude.
dude, that's so unfair in so many levels. And because I can be like, yeah, heritage, family owned business and whatnot, but let's be real, man. Like they're building a huge facility in Inglewood, right?
Yep.
Like that's their own facility, state of the
Yeah,
art
they're not
stuff.
leaving anytime
They're
soon. So
investing on that team. So, you know, 5 years, the next two are important for the Lakers because I project, if I'm being honest, once LeBron kicks, he says I'm out. I think that's just the trigger to rebuild. And people say no, the whole like what's AD gonna be? Who knows if AD wants to still be here? It's so uncertain. Like now that they're tied, it could be like, hey, we did our part. We let's say they get one championship in the next 2 years. Yeah, call it a day, and they're probably gonna ask a trade or just gonna move on. That is a distinct possibility. And for the Lakers, the future is uncertain to a certain extent. And I just hope and understand for the Lakers front office to understand that you can only build on the past accomplishment for so long, you know, and for the next 5, 10 years, you're going to have heavy competition because the Clippers facility, once you see something bright and shiny and new, people are going to be attracted to it. That's just how it is.
that's it.
That's
Yep.
how the business is
and
run.
that is a multi-billion-dollar facility. Like that is a
That's that
Steve
is
Ballmer has put.
Yeah, Steve Ballmer went all out on it for sure.
yeah,
So like it's, and like I said, I do agree where you're coming from, but I think there's a set standard that like if you're from LA, you're a Lakers fan.
of course. I'm not diminishing that. I'm just saying
But
that you
in
have
like
competition
I
now.
have
Yeah, no,
said this before, like realistically in 3 years, like in my opinion, I think LeBron's there for the next 2, and he's probably going to bounce.
Yeah,
But like,
agreed.
if you're looking at Kawhi, PG, Norman Powell, like those are guys that are locked in versus Anthony Davis. Like there is a shift there for the younger audience. You go to a new stadium, you're watching those two guys who might be a little older in their prime. They'll be like 32, 33, but are still going to be solid by then unless injuries. So like, there is a world where it's like, yeah, like there's some younger guys who are starting to gravitate a little more towards the Clippers. And I also do think, although the fan base isn't huge, it's pretty dedicated. So like when you go to Inglewood and there's I don't think it'll ever be filled with Clippers fans, but like in a playoff series in Inglewood, like that place is gonna jump from the people who do have Clippers jerseys on. So
Well,
there's a little culture building there as
yeah,
well.
yeah, that's true. And also understand, like, do you remember the Lob City days where the Lakers weren't good?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I actually watched highlights and it was crazy, and that's why I also liked them. Is because like at that point the Clippers were cool. Like when you watch those games, like there was a good chance there was more Clippers fans there than Lakers fans, um, just because you got like we were probably beating you by 20. No disrespect, like those were bad years for you guys, and yeah, that was like when the Clippers were cool for once.
and that's the thing, like, and that was under the same building, so what I'm trying to get at is y your real MVP is not Kawhi Leonard, it's Steve Ballmer. Like this, like that's your whew, like
Yeah.
that's your ace in the hole. But Alan, do you have a different, like, do you want to add to this? Do you want to have a different perspective to what I said, or you just want to add on like a, because
No, man.
I got 30 minutes here. If you want to take the floor and just run with it,
No, man, dude. It's it sucks, dude, because it look like if you look at the Lakers the last couple of years, they look like they've been like trying to like save every nickel and dime and penny. So with the Clippers, their infinite amount of money is just it's kind of unfair. So yeah, I mean, like as far as like Lakers fan, dude, I'd watch out for the younger generation that's coming up, because I think since the Lakers are going to be like kind of like a, I don't want to say an irrelevant team because they're always going to be relevant, but when LeBron's not on that team, there's going to be a shift right there to where the Clippers are coming out with their brand new stadium, and it's like you said, dude, it's like something brand new and shiny, so it's gonna call attraction, and I think that's going to take away from the Lakers for years to come. And I like we only got 2 years of LeBron, so we need to maximize LeBron's years that we have now and try to get a chip. At least one.
yeah,
And also, I think, especially last year, this showed a lot. Like, like I said, I think culture wise, there's kind of a mix here. And I think 2020, it was definitely you guys. But, like, especially, like, coming back 2-0 in back to back playoff series, like, you want to watch teams that have that grit. Like, I want to watch a team, and although there is some bias here, I want to watch a team who has a 45th pick at Terrence Mann going off for 40 and eliminate, like not an elimination game, but when you're up 3-2. Like there's been even Reggie, like in the Dallas series, like Reggie was really explosive in that series. Um, Even last year, like there was games where we had no PG and Kawhi and we're coming down from 35 and Luke Kennardson and 1-3 for the game. Like there's been a little more culture there, and like I hate to bring it up, but when you're watching a Lakers Clippers game, I don't want to see Reggie Jackson fucking skipping up the court with 4 seconds left. And then after the game saying Clippers Nation, like there's things there that like
Russ got
when you're
cooked.
younger, like
oh,
there is, and like I said, it's Lakers town. I don't want to make ever say that that's not a thing, but like there's a way where if I'm young and I'm watching a game and it's kind of supposed to be Lakers are the big brothers, and Reggie Jackson without PG and Kawhi is skipping up the floor like he's doing hopscotch, and it's just
yeah,
taking your third option to the paint like that, and then is dancing and like there was a
yeah,
game he put up 40 and he was just dancing and pumping his chest. Like that's appealing to people as well. So like I said, I don't want to make it a conversation that this is Clippers town, but like the culture there, I think is kind of being shown a little more. Just because, like I said, for me, if I'm young, that's really enticing.
Yeah, no, that's exact. I agree on that. Like, what makes the Lakers great? They had Showtime, and people like Allen having their family members looking at them and being like, "Oh my god, look at Magic or look at whoever." Like they're seeing, like even me, like looking Shaq and Kobe, like those are the things that attract you even when you're young. And if you see that not in a Lakers uniform, you see it in the Clippers uniform, then hey, you're getting attached. You are getting attached, and you're creating a memory, a story. Which, by the way, we also have another podcast called The Cafeteria Room. Just wanted a cheap plug. Alan and me co-host. I am a co-host. It's Alan's show, but you can also watch it. There's a link below about stories and NBA and not NBA but basketball life, everything. But also wanted to just say that
It goes down in
yeah,
the cafeteria room.
yeah, the things that go down in the cafeteria room. But one of the things that really hits home is the level of grit that team plays with, and that comes from Tyrone Lue. That comes from the whole roster construction. Like that team is not afraid coming. Like they could be probably 3-0, and I would be afraid of them. Like it's just they have that tenacity in them, and even in, like they had no reason to be this competitive in the last season. Like they had no with no PG with no Kawhi, and I think they went as far as I would have guessed. If not, like they're competitive, and they're gonna be a scary team. They're gonna be a very scary team, and for the Lakers this season, um, I think we all agree Russ has to be get out.
Yeah,
They're
Russ got
like
it. Yeah, Russ got it.
Russ gotta go. No offense to Russ if you're seeing this, which I doubt, but if you
Sorry,
are,
sorry. Yeah.
I'm sorry. As a player, I liked you in OKC. I liked you in Houston, but there was a reason why in Houston we left you open for three, and I don't know why we. I don't know why we decided that was the way to go. So
I mean, no disrespect, but I didn't like that the day it happened. I really didn't.
he,
I
there's
got the mindset of like, no LeBron and AD, he's gonna carry, but it's like you can't. And I've had this minimum contracts are just it works sometimes, but you can't sit there and say we're gonna bring in 5 minimum contract guys
yeah.
and like we rely on that. Like it's just not a
It it
it's
doesn't
not
it
a
doesn't make sense.
roster build. Like that's not how you build your roster. Um,
Yeah.
and like you didn't
Yeah.
really have like Reeves was cool, but there wasn't like a young guy there outside of THT that was like he can really take a leap. Like so, I didn't
Oh,
like it when it happened, and I don't mean to be mean to Russ, but I kind of like riding the high road there a little bit, just because there was a lot of people who didn't like it as well. But I saw tweets of Rajon Rondo getting signed, and it was like this is the best team of all time.
Oh
And
God.
although smart people probably weren't saying that, like that was a consensus of like Nets, Lakers, lock it in if healthy. Like, so I have to take my high road there a little bit, just because the
no,
day that happened, I was like,
you take the
Take him where you can
shots,
get him.
take
Take him
him,
where you.
take him whether you can get him, and this season's gonna provide. If we, God forbid, if we keep
Yeah, this season
Russ,
is gonna be a lot of
it's
context.
it's gonna be a lot of content creation. So we're gonna have some views. We're gonna see just put Russ in any video, and you're gonna get some clicks. But geez, one of the things you touched on something, and I wanted to take your opinion. Are you do a lot of breakdowns in your videos and whatnot in terms of kind of like where each perspective of the team, like where they are at, how they're what pieces they have, what to look for. What do you see in the Lakers in terms of the kind of like the like Austin Reeves, for example? Do you see him like not? Let's assume we do a trade or something. We get healed, or let's do the Utah or whichever trade we facilitate. Do you see Austin Reeves starting, or or are we Laker homers that are not seeing that we're seeing more to Austin Reeves than we need to? If that makes sense.
um, I actually really like Reeves. When he got picked by Detroit, I was like, I really like that. And then he said, I want to go and draft and sign the Lakers, which I respect. I think the main thing, and Allan did touch on it, is just he at some point he needs to put some muscle on. He's a skinny guy with skinny
Yeah.
arms. Um, but I do like Reeves, and I think it's nice, and I think Terrence Mann gave that for us, and Brandon Boston at points last year. I think it's nice to just have some young legs in there who are kind of like, come on, I'm doing this, and I'm the young guy, so you guys need to pick it up. So I think a second year player who showed a lot of promise is just kind of good for the locker room. And I think a guy like Pat Bev is probably going to work Reeves a lot. Like that was Pat Bev when he was with the Clippers was really helping us out with our young guys with discipline and stuff. So
Oof.
I
That's music to our ears.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
music to my ears.
I
Thank you.
think if you get healed, just the politics of the game, like trading Russ and he's making 20 mil, that's probably going to push you to start him. Um, but like I said, and I've talked about it a lot, at the end of the day, Reeves and Heald are probably going to play the same amount of minutes. So it's like maybe Reeves gets 5 more minutes, but it's like coming off the bench and starting in a lot of scenarios is like if you're the sixth man, like even Jordan Clarkson was pumping in 30 minutes a game coming off the bench. So it's like I don't. I think the starting lineup, if let's say Heald, I think it kind of flows well, just with like the go put up a shot, catch and shoot guy. Um, than maybe like Reeves does, and maybe you just roll with him and Nunn and kind of give him the second unit to try to prosper a little bit. But I wouldn't hate it either. But I just think Heald, even a guy like Jordan Clarkson, even though I know he likes coming off the bench, I think you probably just like the flow of that offense a little more and just the provenness. Because usually the lineups you start, there's a good chance they're going to close. So um, I just think it flows a little better with Reeves maybe on the bench. But I think if you're high on Reeves, like especially with the way the season went, like you should be pushing a Reeves agenda. I've done it a lot. I like him. I think he's great on the perimeter now, but I do think right now, and we had the conversation about it, like right now forwards are probably going to lick their lips at Austin Reeves. And that's not a bump saying he's a bad defender, but just he's not bulky enough. So I
Yeah.
think for the bench, like with none, even Beverly though would help him defensively in that part because they don't see that same presence in Beverly. But I think first off, bulking up doesn't work for everyone. It's not easy for someone to put on 20 pounds of muscle and then go out and do the same things on the court. Um, but there's also if he doesn't bulk up, it's just fine, right? But I just think defensively, that's where he would really step. Um, But I think you should be high on Reeves, especially like he kind of showed a little bit of a clutch gene in his rookie year, which is something you love to see, some energy. That's like my big Terrence Mann thing that I loved. So I think you should ride it high if he starts or is off the bench. I don't really think it matters all that much. Um, I think you should
Awesome.
ride it high and um, just kind of see where it goes. Because, I mean, he was an undrafted guy, even though he did technically get drafted. You like to see
Yeah.
guys who you invest a whole bunch into take that step. So
Yeah. Alan, do you have anything to add?
Oh man, I'm high on Austin Reeves, dude. He was apparently from the reports he was doing like 3 days. So and I think he gained like 20. I think it's like between like 15 and 25 pounds. I think he gained. So I mean, I'm high on him on his defense. I think he can slide in and his playmaking ability too. So you can. I want to say he starts if we. And this is particularly more pertaining to the Buddy Hield trade. I think he starts because dude, where are you getting the shooting off the bench? Like, I know some people say to attack the basket and stuff like that off the bench, but we need some shooting. So where are you getting that shooting in that rotation in the bench when you have LeBron, AD, and Miles Turner? Like that's where your offense is going to go through at least for the first
Yeah.
5-6 minutes, and it's all about staggering minutes too. So you can stagger Buddies and Reeves minutes, and you pop in Buddy off of you pop him in and take out Reeves, and then now you have your shooting off the bench. So I don't know. I'm high on Reeves. I hope he makes that jump. I don't even expect him to shoot 40% behind the arc, man. He just needs to shoot league average, so that way defenses are like aware that he can shoot behind the arc, and that so we can space the floor more. So,
Yeah.
from reports and from what people are saying, and I mean, it's looking,
I do
and
want to say
LeBron's high
though,
on him.
bulking up is not always easy offensively.
Oh no, of course not,
Offensively, it's
dude.
going to help him a lot, but some
Okay.
guys
Defensive,
can't
yeah,
shoot when they
defensively it
put
will help
bulk
him.
on. Like,
Offensively, it's gonna
especially no
probably mess up his
disrespect, bro.
shooting. Yeah,
He
because
looks like
we've all been
Slender
at the
Man out
gym.
there. He was skinny. So,
No, yeah, he
although I
was.
think it's a good idea, like
So is
Brandon Ingram was really,
Brandon Ming is really skinny.
but
So
like
is KD.
Yeah, but
I don't.
that's so. Wait,
KD
wait, but
never
it's a
bulked
different,
though.
if it's a
Yeah,
different skill set though.
yeah,
That's
it's a different.
yeah,
But like I
Yeah, I
said, I
mean,
think
like,
bulking up is very good
I don't think
defensively.
bulking up
But
is going to help his offense. Not at all. I
yeah,
don't think that. I don't want people to think
well, he
that. I
doesn't
think,
necessarily need to be a great.
yeah, he doesn't need to be great. He just needs to be able to go in there and be able to play make, and space the floor. So he doesn't need to drop five. He doesn't need to make 5 threes behind the arc like simultaneously. Like he just needs to be able to, when he's open and he has that open shot that LeBron or AD or we'll say Miles Turner or whoever they space the floor to get him open. He needs to be able to knock down that shot. That's the most important thing, is to be able to knock down that shot, and that's what we've missed last year.
yeah,
Probably even the year before that, I can arguably say. So that's going to be a big thing on Austin, and I hope he can contain under the pressure of that big
There's a
Hollywood
pressure
light.
there.
And
He
I
did
think
choose it though.
he
He
did.
chose it.
Yeah, he did choose it, and I think that shows kind of the mindset where he's at. So I think he's gonna have a decent. I don't want to say he's gonna have a breakout year or anything like that, but I think he's gonna have a good season, and I think we're gonna see from what we see from Austin this year. I think it's gonna tell us a lot of where his ceiling is gonna be for the years to come.
yeah,
I think the thing with Reeves too is like he's going to do a lot of the little things. Like I hate to bring up Terrence Mann, but he's just a guy who he was a really young guy for us who did a lot of things.
You don't need to be
I'm
sorry
sorry.
about that. You know,
Like
you can bring up
young
players.
guys, like you can just let him do the little things now, continue to raise his ceiling and situation, and when LeBron leaves in 2 years, then you can have the conversation of how well did Reeves develop, because you don't want to rush him into the limelight
Oh
too
no.
quick. So, like, you can maybe have a conversation in two
Well, that's
years.
the
Like,
yeah.
where does Reeves fit with LeBron gone? Like, is he now in a spot to take a huge leap? Like, but he's gonna do the little things. Like, he's gonna be a guy that Lakers fans watch, and they're gonna talk about all the things he did that a basketball fan probably didn't realize if they're not watching. Box score watchers aren't gonna realize, I guess I can say.
Yeah, I mean that's
It's interesting. Reeves is an interesting if you want to talk baseball prospect. So
For sure, yeah.
yeah. He's
he's gonna be an interesting development in the NBA. We'll see where he goes, because let's admit it, man. He was probably one of our highlights of 2021. You know what I mean?
Like I said,
yeah.
especially the clutch moments. You like to see that
Yes.
of
Look,
him
look at that
getting
Dallas
put
shot,
on.
dude.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
exactly. Like, that's what I
First
think of
year
off
in
the
the
top of my
NBA,
head.
dude. No, like ice in his vein. Like, don't worry, I got it.
That's
Like,
what I like to see, because that shows some dog. That shows some,
So what about the room? Well, not the rumors, but the consensus from other team fans, you can say, or other people when they see Austin Reeves, like you said, they switch hunt him and they try to, like, the forwards would love that matchup. But here's the thing: were the Lakers so bad? And this is not my take. I'm just trying to get the sense from the floor. Were the Lakers so bad that it made Austin Reeves' defense look amazing, or is Austin Reeves' defense on, not, I wouldn't say elite, but pretty damn good?
Well, for me, I don't mean to. He's gone now, but I wasn't very high on Stanley, and I kind of thought that's what happened with Stanley. Well, obviously he's a great player, but like the fact that he came in and played good perimeter defense for a really bad perimeter team really showed. But I think with Reeves, at the end of the day, he did it all in his rookie year. So if it looked better than it was, if that wasn't the case, it was still his rookie year. So for him to
yeah,
show that flash on a good perimeter team or a bad perimeter team, I think you can
it shows a
still,
lot.
Yeah,
It shows
but
his mentality. You know, it shows his mindset, like his IQ on the basketball court.
Yeah,
So
the instant meme of
mhm.
LeBron trying to tell him to go here, do that, and he's like, "Well, I can be in two places at once, so whatever." But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting season. Let's just leave it off with this. Or end it off with this because we've been almost an hour into this. I'm probably gonna split these videos into smaller videos to make some,
It's
more
an hour, dude.
palpable because it's an hour. Like I doubt somebody if somebody has survived this hour long
also
podcast.
it's been a lot of jumping. There's not a lot of went
No,
Yeah,
from
there's
yeah,
RJ
it's a
to
lot of
Clippers to,
it's a
which is
lot.
good,
It's the
but
absolute BS podcast,
this
guys.
is
We just
BS.
what
There's
I
no
like though is a
planifications.
lot
This is
of
just there's something in my
a
channel that
lot.
says from couch to mic. It's literally that. It's literally from the couch to the mic. We're not really that prepared, and we're probably going to be at some point, but we're just trying to get a feel and trying to have some fun. But one of the things that I want to end it off with, where, and this is going to be for James, where do you think the Clippers are going to seed this season?
I think seeding wise is interesting because for me, I'm the type of guy who like, although I think load management did play a part, like I don't think Kawhi and PG need to go out and play 80 games, right? And for me, I think you need to seed top four. I'm in the position where if you have a team this good, as long as you're seeding top four, it shouldn't matter who you're playing, right? Unless it's like the Warriors or a team like that falls. But I think for me, as long as you can play good enough, because like I said, PG and Kawhi, they're going to get rest days. And if you
Yeah.
think they're not going to call it load management, but they're going to get days like that. And if you tend to agree or disagree with it, that's fine. But for me, like, I don't really mind if they go out and play 80 games. Um, so I think reasonably it's probably more 3 or 4, just because at the end of this sounds bad, but there's going to be probably injuries between this roster. I mean, you look at Wall, Marcus Morris, guys like that have all been somewhat injury prone. So I think they'll probably slot in at more 3 or 4 than 1 or 2, just because I don't really trust the whole lineup to play 80 games. And I don't think that's going to be the expectation. I don't think Ty Lue is sitting there saying, although it would be nice because they get as much burn as possible. Like I don't think
Correct.
Ty Lue and Steve Ballmer are sitting in the office right now saying, how can we get PG and Kawhi to play 80 games? I think it's how can we keep them ready and healthy for the playoffs. So I think seeding wise, you probably slot them in 3, 4, 5, just because don't. Even though the team played very well without them, at the end of the day, if they're usually one of them will probably be on the court, but there's going to be games that we lose that if Kawhi or PG was on the court, we probably would have won. And also, we're the Clippers. We have to find a way to lose to Detroit, Indiana, Orlando. We did it a lot last year. Um,
Well, I mean, you didn't have both of your
yeah, but
stars.
even years before, like
Oh,
there's
okay,
been
okay.
a lot of games in the regular season that they like to throw, which maybe the more talent will help. So I think seeding wise, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully, you can just do it well enough that you're 4, you get that home court. Because like I said, if you're a team, especially with how high I am on them, you should be confident that you're going to walk into a 4v5 or a 3v6 and you're going to win, right? So
Right.
I think seeding wise, that's probably what you should expect, just because although there is a chance that we could just play very well in the regular season, I think that it would be nice to, or the expectation is probably like Kawhi plays 55, 60 games, PG plays 60 games, Wall plays like 60 games. So
Okay, so you're around top four, maybe five.
I think if we push them all, then you're looking at 1 or 2, because I think PG or Kawhi, especially regular season, can really run teams to the floor, and Ty Lue in the regular season. He's
Yeah,
been praised a lot for his playoff, but he out coaches a lot of people, especially last year with the. So I think if you're pushing reasonably, probably realistically 3 or 4, but if you're going to push these guys 75 games, you're probably looking at 1 or 2.
gotcha.
Because I
Which
don't
makes sense.
think I don't think there's a team like the Jazz or like the Suns the last couple years that were going to be the 1 seed, but you didn't expect to win a playoff series. I don't really think there's a team like that, like a regular season dominant team. Maybe the Suns can do it again.
I think the Minnesota can be
Minnesota maybe for sure
maybe.
too. But like
Yeah.
I said, I think
And then not do anything in the playoffs.
there was
I
teams like the Jazz who were top 1 or 2 seeds
like
for
nobody feared the Yas for some
yeah.
reason. Like unfortunately that team was can be seeded one and then knocked down the second round or the first round. Like it's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I agree. Alan, what do you think the Lakers are going to be at?
Oh, right now, constructed or
Yeah, I mean,
with
right
Russ?
now with this news, it's and I'm gonna say this we get a
Yeah,
trade,
it's more than looking like an
but
indie
most
trade.
likely we get a trade. Most likely we get Russ out. We just don't know who's gonna come
Within
in. So
okay,
let's just assume as is constructed for
with
now.
Russ.
With Russ, yes.
I'm sorry, dude. It's fucking hard, dude, to
Dude,
put where to like, cause like, okay, highest ceiling for me, highest ceiling, 6 seed, right? 6 seed. That's like 80, Braun healthy. I'll
that's
give us a six
82.
seed.
That's 82 game
82 game, six
LeBron
seed. Yes.
80. Yeah,
I'm not talking
I can
about
see that.
playoffs. We'll just talk regular
And
season.
Westbrook taking a vacation in the Cancun's while we pay him his
Or
check.
hopefully he has a ball out year if he's still on our
Maybe, yeah.
roster, right?
Or he
I
turns
don't I
into
don't want him on our
47.
roster, but if he's on the roster, let's hope he has a phenomenal season and
Yeah.
dude, 6 seed man, and probably if want to say lowest, the lowest floor like the floor playing team maybe eight seed,
Um,
7 seed, six
yeah.
through eight with Russ on the roster.
I
That's with
tend
Russ
to
on the roster.
agree with that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. I'm not a
I'm
homer.
lower
I'm
than you
not
actually.
biased. Oh,
I am
I think the floor
I
is
am
probably a
low.
little lower. I think
Yeah,
with Russ, you guys
the
have
floor
it
is very
somehow.
low, buddy. The
he can't
floor
be. He can't be. He
we saw
cannot
the
be worse than
floor
last
last
year.
season.
Pat Bev
And
is a lot better than THT though. So.
We
like
do have Pat Bev.
as a unit, we've gotten better than last season. However, everybody else is getting
It's all
healthier and
spec.
better.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if you would have said last season if the Lakers can beat the Pelicans, I'm like for sure, but that didn't manifest itself. And this season they're getting Zion, so they're going to be tough. I feel like they're going to be a playoff team. Then you have what Memphis playoff team, Denver playoff team, Warriors reigning
Minnesota is
champions.
probably better than you guys.
Minnesota is.
Maverick.
I think
I'm not very high on Minnesota.
Uh,
Minnesota, I don't know. Maybe.
Minnesota. Here's the thing: I can feel a scenario where the Minnesota and the Lakers are in the play-in, trying to get a playoff spot. That's how. That's how.
I don't need to talk about it now, but I really am not very high on Minnesota.
You're not
You're
high on
not.
Minnesota.
Well,
Dude, I agree
you
with you,
count
man.
5 players, and then after 5, you're like, what
Is
happened?
Is that your next video?
I think
No,
you
they're
did.
deep down. I haven't done Minnesota
He hasn't
yet.
done Minnesota yet.
I think obviously Cat and Ant are
They're
like
going
I
to be the
think for
number
the
1 seed.
future, 1 and 2. I
You're
don't
wild,
like
Tony.
Minnesota, man. I think their starting lineup's cool. They did
It's
get
an
better.
interesting take. It's we can say for sure, like Cat never played 4. He's always been in Minnesota playing 5, right?
For the most part. I think he's played some 4. I don't tend to believe that although I think it can work, like people are just penciling them in as like this is gonna work and this is gonna be good. I don't really see that. I think regular season wise they'll probably be good, but if you told me Minnesota beat a good team in the first round, I would slap you in the face.
They're the new Utah right now. They're gonna be good.
Even then, I don't know how much I like them in the regular season either. I mean, I think they're gonna be good, but like,
well, if people are getting rest and they're like managing times,
Well, they even
like,
had a D'Lo problem. Like they couldn't play D'Lo in the playoffs, and now I feel like they're going to rely on him a lot heavier.
lot more. Yeah.
I think he was also just like, I think in that playoff series though he was kind of just bad for his standards. Like I think he kind of had a stinker. I don't tend to think that will be him again. Defensively, obviously.
I hope so. I mean, I'm a fan of D'Lo. Like the there was a point that we were like, "Oh, if we can get D'Lo, if we can get D'Lo," I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Like, hey, if you want Russell Westbrook, give me D'Lo every day of the week, and I guarantee you're gonna have a more dramatic season.
No,
But
I think D'Lo just has like a swag to him, which I really like. And those Nets teams were fun. Like he kind of made the Nets cool again too. Like those
he
Nets
did.
teams were fun.
dude, we need to do one of these podcasts for the East Side because we've been focused so much on
And
the
then
West.
you guys want to put like together a good topic list that we actually
Yes, let's
stick
do
to
that.
a little bit.
So let's do that, and we can do it probably in 30 minutes and not an hour. But this is going to be a lot of videos. Let's cut it off here, guys. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for the time, and please follow James. He probably has more subscribers than me. Who cares? But
You know
he
what?
does amazing videos. The Blunted one. We also do the cafeteria room. You can follow those links below.
Hey man,
Thank you
hopefully
very
I'll be on
much.
that one too. I'd like to hop
Yeah.
on that one too.
On the cafeteria room.
Yeah.
Oh
You guys
yeah.
talked
sure.
about it today.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it off air. So thank you guys. Have a good one. Peace out.